So Anne, you've competed over a number of years with the British team and won so many medals and competed with a couple of horses and other horses. What has the whole journey been like over the last few years?
It's been an exciting roller coaster with huge high peaks and some low troughs, but not many low troughs. It's just been a huge, exciting time, and it's been like going on an escalator that kept on going, that was being driven by me, but it was good. It was just a good time. It really was.
Back in 1996, what was it like competing on borrowed horses? Because obviously it's a lot different to what it is today. What was the whole experience like in Atlanta?
Well, that was like a true lottery. Literally, you went out there, you didn't know what you were going to get. You went there, you got there, then 5 days before the competition, they drew your number out of a hat and the pony's number out of the hat. And then it's the Anne Dunham 59. The pony was called Doodlebug, and he behaved like a doodlebug because he would go along quite quietly until he saw a large, because they had big letters in those days for the visually handicapped. He would look at that and go boom, 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 bounce all over the place, explode, take a deep breath and move on till he met the next sign. So yes, it was a very interesting experience. It was a whole different challenge to taking your own horse.
In that time you could have your own horse and develop a partnership with horses, and a lot of people remember one of your first horses was Teddy. Can you tell us a bit more about your relationship with Teddy?
Well, Teddy wasn't one of my first horses, but Teddy was one of my biggest horses, and Teddy has been the ride of my life. Teddy was a Welsh cob. I had no horse at the time. My last horse wasn't just not able to compete anymore. It had an injury, etc. And my daughter worked as a veterinary nurse, and she had a friend there called Sally Ann Brown, who had a horse that she was terrified of, quite literally. They both were, her and her husband, and they were thinking of getting rid of it, but they didn't want to sell it. That suited me because I had no money, so I said, I'll go and have a look. So I did. Rolled up to this yard, and this wild-eyed chestnut cob with flowing mane and tail and feathers everywhere came out. He was very naughty with them, but they tied him up, and I wheeled up in my push wheelchair. He looked me in the eye, then he sort of smiled, and he let me go all the way around him and all the rest of it, and so on. And I thought, yeah, we could get on well with us two. At least it's a horse to ride. So we did that, and then Gary got on to show off his paces. As he put his foot in the stirrup, horse exploded, literally. Saddle slipped, Gary was on the floor. But he did get on, and he did show me the walk, trot and canter. That was fine. So we went home, we went on, and I brought him to first team training, and Jane Goldsmith took one look at him and said, Anne, what the hell are you doing on that? You'll never do it. But 6 months later, we went to Belgium because they hadn't got any others to take. And he arrived there, and once he realised he hadn't been sold into hell, when he saw me or Amber, he said, oh, this is good, I'm the centre of attention here. Marched down the centre line, plonked himself in a 4 square hole, said, look at me. And he won everything that time, and he went on winning everything from there on in until we retired him. Him and Lucas have boxed there next door to each other, and they stand nose to nose inside the box, talking to each other. So I'm sure they're sharing experiences.
You mentioned Lucas there. Are they completely different in terms of their personalities? Are they two different kind of horses?
Yes, Lucas is much more steady. Lucas isn't one to suddenly have a fit and blow up and say, gosh, I can't do that. Lucas will do it. Lucas worries inside. He'll do it, and you'll get tense and he worries inside. And he's much more, outwardly he is very phlegmatic. Inside he worries away and he worries away, and it comes out in his contact. He gets tense on the bit and chomps and opens and closes his mouth a lot, etc. So yeah, and of course he's a stallion, so Lucas leads a fairly lonely life. He never gets turned out with other horses. He gets turned out in a paddock between other horses, but he leads quite a lonely life, I often think, because he's a stallion. But he's quite happy.
Yeah. Would you say, you talk about their personalities there, what are you like when you go into a competition? Are you like Lucas, quite nervous, quite apprehensive, or do you look forward to competing?
I look forward to competing. I love competing and I will miss it. But yes, I'm nervous. If I stopped being nervous, I knew it was time to go. Well, I haven't stopped being nervous at all, but I used the nerves. I liked the nerves. It got my adrenaline going. It got me all set up and ready and, right, I'm here, let's get on with it. So I actually liked having the nerves. I learned to use them very positively, and they were a good thing to have because it put me in a position different to schooling at home. It made me just that bit more up and get him go. And I'm quite sure horses get a bit brighter vibe off me on a competition day than they do when we're just schooling.
You travel with your team, but you've also travelled with a number of the athletes who were there last year for a number of years, such as Lee, Sophie and Natasha. What's it like being competing with a group like that?
Oh, it's been fantastic. We've been a real team. We have been a real team. Everybody's there for each other, off the horse. And you're the greatest of rivals once you're on the horse. But they're also very helpful, and they've been very nice, and you are friends and so on, and it's been good, and it's been quite a close-knit team. And I'm sitting on the side here and I'm seeing big changes going on, and I'm waiting to see where it goes.